Wow, Chase, you're reading when we're about to do a live show. I'm so impressed. I'm so proud of you.
I'm very studious.
Yes, very studious, but you're missing the visor. That would make you even
Oh,
more studious.
sorry about that.
Welcome back to Nerdy Neighborhood, everybody, and welcome to your friendly neighborhood comic show. I am Lauren, your friendly neighborhood bi, and we got, if I can do it right this time, haha, this guy over here. We got this guy.
Hey, it's me, I'm Chase. This side right here.
Heck yeah. Well, again, welcome back, guys. We wanted to do a chill show tonight and just talk about things we all love, such as older comics, and specifically older comics that we don't get an excuse to talk about a lot. Things that we're like, you know what, we want to talk about these things more. So of course, if you're joining us in live chat tonight, welcome. We'd love to hear from you if you want to say hi. We're going to share some of the stuff going, some of the things we picked out. We'd love to hear some of the comics that you guys want to talk about more, because we'd love to talk about them as well while we're here. And yeah, we'll just catch up and have some fun. That's kind of the goal. So, how are you, Chase? Outside of the comics world?
Oh, great as always. Nothing to complain about here.
I love that attitude. Nothing to complain about. I'm trying to adopt that attitude myself. I have absolutely nothing to complain about in this world.
Nothing yet. I mean, I got issues, but nothing worth complaining about.
I was going to say, we have comic issues at least. Those are good issues, right?
Oh, yeah. Tons of them. He gestures.
Well, yeah, you got them everywhere. And you got like all those art prints now and the framing. Yeah, like you've really worked hard setting that up back there.
Yeah, my closet. This is my little closet here. I can touch both the walls.
I love
but there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's not many spots that don't have something.
That's a good sign. That means you're doing it all right.
Thanks.
Well, tell me, start us off. I know you and I, we each picked out 5 older comics that we don't get to talk about a lot that we want to talk more about. What's one of yours? Start us off.
All right. So, anyone watching and stuff, there's going to be a theme, and my theme's going to be around the 2000s to 2010 area, because no one ever seems to talk about those comics. So I'm going to start it off with, let's go with The Goon.
Ooh.
Here we go. The Goon.
Nothing
by
but
Eric Powell,
misery.
Written and illustrated by him. Also, little signature right there. No big deal. No big deal.
Hell yeah.
So The Goon. Have you heard of it, Lauren? Read it? Anything?
Not specifically. I mean, I think there's like a horror monster or something called The Goon or something like that. They play around with another like stories and stuff. I've never heard of this one specifically.
Right. Well, it's a Dark Horse comic. It is. I tried to write down the best way I can describe it is a horror comedy slapstick tragedy.
How do you put those together? Oh my god!
It's the only way I can describe it. It's like I don't know if are we spoiling things or are we just giving synopsises here?
I don't see why you can't spoil at this point. Warning: all the things we talk about, we might spoil. So
we might spoil it. If someone doesn't want to spoil it, be like, no, stop in the comments. And then
no, stop. Specifically those 2 words in that order.
I'll reel it in. Yeah. No, stop. Chase.
Even though last time we were on here, you were like, Lauren, don't spoil. And then you spoiled it anyway.
I was thinking about that yesterday. That's how much I still think about it.
It was funny. It's okay. But I just love that you were like such a strong holder of that. And then you're like, never mind, throw away the book.
And then I just did it. Yeah. All right, well, The Goon. I'm just going to I won't give away the whole story, just the first couple issues here. You only have a couple players here. You have The Goon and his best friend, Frankie. Frankie is hilarious, just to give a little, also kind of insane. Like very, very early into the book, just a couple pages, you get one of his best catchphrases, which is knife to the eye.
Oh.
And he just stabs that fish guy right in the eye. But he deserves it, don't worry.
What'd he do? Does he deserve
it? So The Goon used to be like a circus freak, and then he became the like #1 muscle for this mysterious mob boss named Labrazio. and
Yep.
the Brazio has a nemesis who is this necromancer. He's the nameless zombie preacher,
Mhm.
and he's on what's the name of the street? Is it Nameless Street? I'm trying to write all this down. Uh, of Lonely Street. They live in Lonely Street, and
Oh, that's so sad.
you come to find out through a lot of the curse. Their street is cursed. They're telling, and that's why all this stuff happens. But there's aliens, there's robots, there's this mad scientist guy named Dr. Alloy. Um, there is this buzzard that teams up that uh, the zombie priest accidentally created the buzzard, created his worst enemy. He teams up the goon at some point.
Oh.
But the goon just pretty much runs the streets for the mob boss, and the necromancer wants to take over the lonely street and the nameless city. And
Ah.
the goon's just fighting him the whole time. But it's like, I say tragedy because some tragic stuff happens, especially when you go into the issues that's Frankie and the goon's backstory and stuff like that. But it's just so much random stuff happens, and there's like he teams up with a lot of people with Hellboys in some issues and stuff, but it's just mindless killing of zombies and other creatures. I remember back in the day, in Wizard magazine, they had this tier list of Dark Horse characters that kill the most people, and the Goon was right there. He was like number 3. It was like Conan, the Goon, Usagi Yojimbo, and Hellboy,
Damn.
maybe. Um,
Damn.
and yeah, but the Goon was in the mix
He was
because
up there
it's
with the
just.
big boys.
I just wish I could just show. It's just there's so much random stuff happening. You can't explain it.
I feel like that's
Like here he is, nice big splash page of him fighting this big zombie monster guy.
oh, dude, that looks so good.
It does, looks great. You find out it's all been. There's one of the main reasons I want to talk about the game is that a new series is coming out. I think pre-orders are already done. I think it comes out in April.
Oh
But
wow. Yeah. Sweet.
yeah, there's a new series finally coming out about it, and they wrapped it up pretty good at the end of the whole series. So
Mhm.
I like to see where it's going to go, but it's just very, very entertaining. It's a mindless, entertaining, fun book, like just
Yeah.
killing of zombies and other big creatures. Uh, there's a giant zombie chimp in like the first issue that he has
Mhm.
to fight. But you find out that Labrazio, the mob boss, the goon killed him before the series ever started. And he
Mm.
just acts like the muscle for Labrazio, so he can't take the blame. He's just doing the job for Labrazio. He's just doing what Labrazio wants.
Uh-huh.
Like you find out that he's been like running this place the whole time, and he's just fighting this. But the whole time, the zombie priest thinks Labrazio is out there fighting him, so he's trying to find Labrazio. And so the goon finds that very hilarious. That
I say it
he's
sounds like
wasting all his
a
time
little
and
like
effort.
sitcom or something. I know
Yeah,
it's not a
it's
sitcom, but
really funny.
story
It's a
wise,
very
yeah.
good book.
That's awesome. I think we need
But
more like just mindlessly fun comics. Oh no, Chase
collected, like I said,
died.
this is a trade. I got several of them, and I don't think you really need to follow the storyline much. It's just a fun book to read. It's just really entertaining.
I just have to point out that I don't know if it happened with anybody else, but on my end, you disappeared for literally like 2 seconds. And I was like, oh no, Chase left. And then you popped back on here magically and you were just still talking. It was amazing.
Oh, you disappeared on mine and popped right back.
What? Really? Okay. Well, anybody that watched and saw what happened, who disappeared? Did either of us
Both of them.
actually disappear? Yeah, like what the hell was that? Oh my god. Are we magical now? What?
So that's my first one.
I love it. I love the chaotic pick. I also love that you're able to connect it to the fact they're doing a new series of it. So if people are interested in reading it, even if you're not gonna pick up the old one anytime soon, you can still try out the new one and talk with
Yeah,
Chase
I think
about
the
it.
new one. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to give away like too much. All the stuff I said is pretty much first couple storylines, but I'm interested to see where it's going to start in the new one
Mhm.
because I mean I've kind of heard where it's going to go, but it sounds like it's going to be really good. And I think that you could pick it up and start it right there and it not matter.
Yeah. I mean, Usually stuff like that, there's usually a time jump, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whenever they wrap up something pretty well, but they do bring it back for whatever reason. So I would at least expect a time jump. But I think that's very cool, and I love that choice. I think it's really far out there, which is one of the things I love the most about your comic taste, Chase, is that so much of it is so far out there. It's
that,
fantastic.
that's true. I'd say
It
that's true.
yeah, it keeps me on my toes, and I need it. 'Cause I think, like, I'm a pretty, like, basic bitch when it comes to comics, in all honesty, like, even though, like, there's a lot of indie stuff I've read, and I love supporting indie comics and things like that. Like, even before the show tonight, I was like, "Crap, what older comics have I read that I don't get to talk about?" And most of the, like, super old stuff I've read, like, 90s and earlier, it's just, like, X-Men and shit. And I'm just like, "Damn, I'm so basic. This is lame of me." Like, God, I need to catch up. I need to do my own research. Fuck.
Let's hit us with that first one. Come on.
Let's see. Well, I want to say hi to Bolly Rock, who was
Hey,
in
hey,
the chat.
Molly.
So good to see ya. Our neighborhood cheerleader. He's awesome. And Mr. Emmett, what's up,
Nice,
Emmett?
Emmett.
He's amazing as well. Him and Chris Evans usually do Gathering of the Geeks, but they're not doing it tonight because there's stuff going on. I am all on board blaming Chris for it if we need to blame anyone. I love you, Chris.
Yeah, it wasn't easy, Emmett. I'll say that. Mhm.
Yeah, it was hard for me to just find any actually. I think Chase had the opposite problem, was narrowing it down because
Yeah.
Chase is far more studious with comics than I am. I feel like a noob right now. But yeah, so my first pick I've talked about before, but it's more just in passing. I never really get to just be like, this is how amazing this comic is and geek out with somebody about it because I don't even know who else has read this. But I love this story, Gotham City Garage. This is one of the covers with Supergirl in it. I love her in it, and that's part of the reason I love it is because she's in it. But it's pretty cool. It's an AU, and it's set in this world where basically like I think it is Luthor that like took over everything, and they got these desolate areas and then these like bubbled cities. But in the bubbled cities, it's actually like Batman and a bunch of bat bots that are like Lex Luthor security. So like Batman's basically evil, and the whole story revolves around all these DC women, um, coming together and kind of rebelling against all the crap in this, dystopian world, at least. One of the cool twists that I didn't know what to think of at first, but I grew to like as I finished reading the 2 volumes, was the fact that, like, in this world, Kara and Barbara are, like, adopted sisters, I believe. Um,
Okay. By
Gordon.
Gordon.
Yep.
So Gordon adopted Kara.
No, they're sisters, so they were adopted together.
Got it.
Because they're, like, the same. They're similar ages. So, but I just love the focus on all the women. It's incredibly well written. I like the fact that they're able to do more, I feel like, with the characters because it's an AU. And I really wish there had been more. Like 2 volumes didn't feel like enough because this really is its entire separate world. And it's not always happy fun. There's a lot of, really fun moments in it, but it can get dark at some moments because it is a dystopia kind of world.
Mm-hmm.
But I read it and I was like, "Why was there more of this?" And I think I actually kinda read it almost by accident. I think it was one of those things where I saw it in like a $5 trade paperback bin or something at a comic shop, and I was like, "This looks kinda cool. I'll try it out. Why the hell not?" And then I read it and I was like, "What the hell? This is like one of my new, like, favorite worlds. Like, what the
I love
hell,
that's the
DC?"
best.
Yeah, but, like, we had this world, like, this AU with all these, like, great DC women, and even though they tweaked, quite a few things because it's a different world, they were all still them in their own way, and it was so well done, and I was like, "I don't have anything like this." Like, not even from Marvel, it's not even a publisher thing at that point, I get none of this from Big 2. I have no big book right now that is focused solely or mostly on the women, um
Except Birds of Prey. That's one of the best books
Right.
out right now.
Right. So, yeah, Kelly Thompson's amazing with her writing alone. I adore her. But yeah, so I love Gotham City Garage. If you guys haven't read it and you like DC characters and you like a lot of the women, or you want to kind of see more of the women and see what they're about. Gotham City Garage is a great way to just get exposed to some other like women DC characters that maybe you may not know as much about or what have you. But it's a banger. It was really, really fun to read. And I think DC should bring it back. Thank you, cowards.
And where I jumped in and said that about Birds of Prey, it's on Birds of Prey is only on like its 6th issue. It's not like it's been back
Mhm.
for long. So it's not like you had
Yeah.
many options before that. I do like that Kelly Thompson said that the team is going to be revolving, so you might get some random DC
Yep.
characters you don't know coming in. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that's really smart, especially writing wise. Especially because with Birds of Prey, there's clearly something, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but you brought Birds of Prey, so I'm going to talk about because it is a great series and they're a phenomenal team in general. But yeah, because when people got really upset that Oracle was going to be on the team at first when the book was announced, and she's like, "Look, Barbara will be there, don't worry." And then they're like, "But she won't be Oracle. What the fuck?" And she's basically said in every way she possibly can, like tweet wise and interview wise, that look, this is the best I can do. Like, my hands are tied by somebody, and that
Hmm.
somebody's editorial. So editorial has the issue with
Well, they
Barbara
told
being
why she
Oracle
didn't
and all
have.
these different things.
She
So
explained why she didn't have Barbara in. Like by the end of the first series, you understand why she wasn't in that story. But I imagine she's
right.
going to be in it from after that point.
Yeah, I know she's in it, but like I know a cover coming out soon, I think, is she's Batgirl in it, like the
Yeah.
purple Batgirl costume. And I mean, I'm personally not a fan of her being Batgirl anymore. Again, she's like what, 30 something, or she's supposed to be by, the crazy comic aging.
Hmm.
Why is she, or at least give her a more mature costume, in my opinion. Like the purple costume is great for like a teenager or like a up to like 26-year-old. But like at a certain point, like give her like, why can't you put her back in the gray and blue or whatever? Like that was actually a solid suit for her like original Batgirl suit.
Hmm.
Um, and I get that they changed it when they dropped her age again. That's why she went to the purple, because they dropped
Right.
her back to her 20s. But yeah, let her grow up. But that's a whole separate tangent. Women can grow up too, guys.
Well,
Let them.
I haven't read it, but aren't her and Dick together in Nightwing?
Yes. Well, they were when I was reading it. I haven't read it in like a while because I read like the first 2 arcs, I think, in Nightwing, and then I was like, I'm good.
I've
Um,
heard it's good. I just haven't read any of it, but I thought I heard that they were good. So I imagine because Nightwing's like in his 30s, right? In the comics.
he's supposed to be, but I think they de-aged him too. I'm not
Um,
completely sure. I don't know how old Dick is right now. So if you guys know how old Nightwing is in the comics right now in canon, please let us know, because
so they
that
made
is
John Kent older, and they made everyone else younger.
yeah. But I mean, to be fair, I don't have a issue with Nightwing and Barbara together, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even though like I like her with other people too. I'm just not one of those people that's like, I'm not with her. I'm not like, this is the only person she can be with, or do I want to like, her and Dick are fine. But again, I don't like the de-aging and making more immature again. Like, what was the point of all her growth before? Like,
Hmm.
but yeah, Birds of Prey. Yeah, I am glad DC has that. I don't think Marvel has any like women-led team books right now. I don't think so. They have like just general team books like Avengers and the Expos
Yeah.
and things like
I
that.
mean, I don't read a lot of Marvel titles, but the last one I can think of is Exterminators.
Oh, yep. Yeah, that was a limited series. That was a lot of
So
fun.
like
It was
4 issues,
very
but it was
camp.
great. It was
Very
great.
camp. There were
Yeah.
there were times where I read it and I laughed my ass off still, but then I would reread a part and I was like, you know, if I reread this, it becomes less funny. So I'm just gonna let that sit. I'm just gonna enjoy it the 2 times I read it. Because it's a very specific, like it gets, for lack of a better word, like the humor gets borderline raunchy, and borderline kind of cheap raunchy, which isn't necessarily
Mhm.
bad. I just need that in smaller doses, which I think it did a pretty good job of. It could have done more, and I think it was balanced enough for me. So
What is it in the Is it Jubilee who like answers like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "My best, the best I can."
yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that was that was very real. Yeah, there was definitely some like millennial Gen Z humor in it that was very relatable.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. But that's the
Yeah.
last all female book that I can think of from Marvel. But like I said, I don't read a lot of Marvel there. So,
Yeah. No, I
but I
think
will
you're
be
right.
getting several of the X-Men titles. The Gail Simone one, I'm for sure going to be picking up.
I will be getting that. Okay. Well, since you brought it up, sorry, we're gonna go in circles, everybody. We've only done one of our
No.
comics and we're going off. No, dude, I am so hype. I feel bad. I need to try to not talk as much so I can do it on the Simply Amazing pod, but I am hype as fuck because that's
Oh yeah,
another manifestation.
because she's writing the one with Nightcrawler in it, right?
Yes, and we were
Yeah.
like, we need Gail to write Kurt. Where is she? And then they announced that she's writing Uncanny X-Men, and Kurt's on that team, and he's on
and
the team with his sister, his
that's what I was gonna say.
brother-in-law, and his best friend. I'm
So,
like,
so
sold.
Mystique and Destiny are going to show up. The family's there. So,
We kind of we talked about that on the last episode that we put out last week. We have an episode this week because Lisa has not been feeling well, the poor thing. But yeah, I'm hype as fuck. I cannot wait to do that episode of Simply Amazing where Lisa and I get to just rant about how excited we are about that and start reading the issues and all that. Cause yeah, I mean, even though like I'm sure Gail Simone's got a lot more to write in there than just to focus on Kurt. Um, I'm really excited. I know she loves Nightcrawler because
mhm.
after I tweeted, it was the dumbest tweet. It wasn't even at her. It was something about Kurt's tail. And then she followed me and I was like, a win.
She said today that he was the most exciting character for her to write.
Oh
So
yeah, she did say that today. Man, I'm
yeah,
clearly
I
not
saw
paying
it on
attention.
Twitter. I will,
Oh,
my
she
bank
needs to
account's not
come
gonna be
on our
happy.
podcast. Okay, anyway, sorry.
My bank account's not gonna be happy about it, but I will get all three of the X titles. But the only one I'll get reoccurring for sure is gonna be Gail Simone's. The other two I'll have to give a shot and decide if I want to keep picking it up or not. I
Yeah,
just know Gail Simone is gonna be good.
I probably won't get the other two unless like you or somebody convinces me to. Like you guys are like, "Hey, this show's amazing, get it." But I'm definitely gonna get the one with Kurt because the other stuff sounds interesting and good. And the writers, I've know of all the writers and they're great choices.
Mhm.
Like Bolly Rock here mentioned Jed McKay X-Men.
Yeah,
I like Jed McKay a lot. From what
and
I've
Ron
seen.
Stegman's the artist in that one.
Yep.
I mean,
hmm
it'll be good.
Yeah, but Moon Knight's the biggest thing I've liked from Jed McKay. I read his Avengers for a bit and I dropped it, not because it was terrible, but just because I was like, it's not doing as much for me as I'd like it
Yeah,
to. But I don't blame that for him as a writer. So I'm very interested to see like where his X-Men team goes. And Balrog also said earlier that Leah Williams says X-Terminators will return. I fucking hope so, because that
ooh,
shit
I
was
hope
just
so
good
too.
old fun. That was really fun.
I hope so too. That was a good group. I like that group together.
Like,
Um,
we just need more, like, just fun and silly books for God's sakes. You know,
I
they don't
agree.
need to be slapstick necessarily or anything. Like, they don't need to be like a, like Three Stooges or what the hell ever. But just like, yeah, just fun stuff that you read it and you just have a good time. Like, there can be a moment or two or a little bit of drama, but like, that's what I
Perhaps
really
you
want
pick
from
up the
comics.
new Goon series.
I know, maybe I will. Maybe when you're like, hey, Lauren, this slaps still. It's still good. You should pick this up. Maybe I will, because I'm at the point where I just want fun stuff. Like,
Hmm.
um, because I feel like honestly, it's harder to find just like simply fun stuff than to find dramas and stuff. Like dramas and horror and all this stuff. They're everywhere. But just pure fun or 80% fun, you have to look really, really hard.
Just 80% fun. You know what? I'm just gonna go on a limb. I want to say Barbaric and like Queen of Swords and all that is right up there. I think it's just
Yeah.
fun. It's a
Yeah.
fun series. I really like that.
I haven't finished Queen of Swords yet. I fell behind on that, but I wrote a review for the first issue back when I was still in my reviews, and I
Good.
really enjoyed that. Like, again, a nice female team led
Oh, that
book.
is an all-female team. There you go.
Yep,
There you
yeah,
go.
Queen of Swords is. I kind of fell off Barbaric. I didn't vibe with the newest arc of it. So I didn't keep getting
When
it.
he was in hell.
I think so.
Hmm.
I think I saw him in Hell for a bit though, and I still read it. I think it was like the third arc I dropped off of. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But again, it wasn't because it was terrible or anything. It was just like the I don't know, the humor kind of lost it for me. I think a bit. I think it started feeling a bit cheap, but I can always give it
Yeah.
another try. Because that's the thing too. Like I used to read so much, and when you read so much, it's it's kind of like, doing anything else. You do something too much or watch something too much, you get kind of immune to it. And so it's really
Hmm.
hard to, you know, be open to, anything in that unless it's like the biggest thing on the planet. So I'll have to give another try. But Barbaric, I really did love like the first arc or two. That was a lot of fun. Queen of Swords was great. Yeah, they were bangers.
Let's see. Oh, I can get into my next one.
Yeah, do it.
So, talking about a series that's coming out again is why I'm going to go ahead and talk about this one too. From like 2002, 3-ish, on Space Ghost. All right. Now all these covers.
What does he
Huh?
look like on the front? He looks like a certain DC, excuse me, like superhero. I can't think of it. Maybe he's
Here
just
he is.
but I swear he looks like someone else.
These are all Alex Ross covers
He looks like
done for this series.
that would makes him look kind of like Silver Surfer.
Yeah, it does.
That's pretty cool.
And punching.
So,
And then the Wonder Twins show up at the end there.
What does Space Ghost do? Is he a ghost just floating through space? What does he do?
Yeah, so what this was done by Joe Kelly and Ariel Olivetti. So this is a rare thing where you get, if you were to buy this because you see this nice, beautiful painted Alex Ross cover, and you open it up and it's not going to be Alex Ross art. And a lot of people would get upset about that, but Ariel Olivetti is also a painter, and some of this interior painting is so good. Like, it's one of the prettiest comics to read. It is all came out in 05. Were you aware of who Space Ghost was at all? Like, as a kid, did you watch Space Ghost Coast to Coast on Cartoon Network or anything? Nope. So he was like a superhero from like when my mom was a kid, like on TV, like 50s or something like that. And he had a little bit of resurgence in the 90s on Cartoon Network as a talk show host, and all of his villains like were employees that worked for him. And that was where I started figuring out Space Ghost, and then went back and watched the cartoons when Mom was talking about it. And then in 05, Joe Kelly put out as a DC book this, which is an origin story for how Space Ghost became Space Ghost. And I'm just going to turn it straight up. It is a tragedy.
Oh my God. Of course it is.
Like, it gets real. He, he's essentially a space cop, and he gets recruited to this elite force of other space cops. What do I do with the? Oh man, okay, there we go. He gets recruited to this elite force and finds out that they're just like corrupt as hell, like just completely corrupt. And he has this moral code, as heroes do. And he tries to prevent their corruption from happening, and in turn, they kill his entire family, his kids, his wife, everybody. And he, he gets his power bands, and he gets his moniker, and he goes off to find, just to stop all the evil, especially what happened to his family. You find out that Zorak, one of the big Space Ghost villains, was behind it all. So you get the very first showdown between Space Ghost and Zorak, and it's just a really entertaining book. But there's a new Space Ghost series coming out. You can still pre-order it. Next week's the last week for it, by David Pepose, who we all love. And it's not going to be a new origin story. It's going to be a Space Ghost story, taking off like he's already been established and everything. And I've been seeing images of it and seeing him do interviews about it, and it looks really good. So it's just another to get acquainted with the character Space Ghost. It's just another one no one talks about. That's just really, really, really pretty of a book. It's just so good. The art's so good, and it's just a good story, but it's tragic. It's not. You're going to find a lot of nonsense humor in it, but it's very fun book.
I'm starting to see a theme with connecting these to new books coming out. I like it.
Those were the only two, actually, but I thought it connected well.
They should definitely, like, the publisher should definitely have you advertise when we go live on the show here. Be like, hey, here's a couple bucks. Can you just do that again?
Yeah, just say Space Ghost one more time.
Yeah, exactly. Bolly Rock says Zorak is green with evil.
That's Yep.
He
Did
also
you ever watch the Brack show? Brack was one of his villains.
Brack? Nope. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe Ballyrock did. I'm not sure. Yeah,
Um,
I forgot Jen McKay was writing Doctor Strange. Here's my problem. I forget that Doctor Strange does things. So I completely forgot he had a book. I'm so sorry to Doctor Strange fans.
no respect for the Sorcerer Supreme.
I even forget he had a Marvel movie, but that's mostly because I don't care for Benedict Cumberbatch. So
Oh, I
cancel me
enjoyed
away.
those movies. I thought they were pretty good.
Well, Doctor Strange was a good film. Like, I'm not shitting on
He's,
the film in any way. It was a
I've
solid
never
film, but
watched.
I barely remember it.
I've Doctor Strange. The only thing I've ever seen Benedict Cumberbatch in. I haven't watched anything else that he's in. So, or at least I
Yeah,
don't know if I have.
he's not terrible or anything. I just think he's I don't think a lot of things are overrated because like I know that when I really love something, I'm very passionate about it and I don't shut up and
Hmm.
I'm annoying. But I do think he was a little overrated for a while. His fans have calmed down a bit, but I was like, I don't get why people are thinking he's like the most critically acclaimed and perfect actor on the planet because like no, like he's there, but yeah, he did fine as Doctor Strange. It just didn't. Again, it wasn't a bad movie. It was just like I think other things took over it for me. Like all the other characters I cared about, I was like, oh yeah, Doctor
Yeah,
Strange, right? What up, bro? Like the the most I remember like caring about his character as a kid was like playing as him in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I would play as him in that.
yeah.
Fun to be, yeah.
Wong kind of stole the show. Any scene he was in.
Yeah, where's Wong's TV show, man? But like, now
I can't.
Marvel's like, ugh.
I like when he was in She-Hulk. I can't believe they canceled She-Hulk still, but Wong and She-Hulk was funny.
Well, because Marvel just screwed everything up. They're like, okay, let's put out 2,000 things at once. Then general audiences and the rest of us even can't keep up with it. And so, like,
Hmm.
oh, well, okay, we're just gonna keep going. And then we're like, dude, we told you guys, no, like, get your stuff together. Then they go, oh my God, now our whole universe is failing because you guys can't keep up with everything. So we're gonna cut everything now. And I'm like, cutting everything wasn't the answer. You just needed to cut down and
Yeah.
slow down. But now they're like, it seems like they're trying to reset a bunch of stuff
Hmm.
completely. And it's like we're not gonna get another like Captain Marvel movie? Are you fucking kidding me? That's the dumbest decision. Anyways, I saw that this week and that made me mad as fuck. I was like,
You're in such a good mood today, Lauren.
I know. Listen, I actually was in a good mood, but
I'm
then
bringing it
I
out of you.
remembered they aren't getting any more Captain Marvel and I want to deck them. So,
So what's your next one? What you got?
so my next one, speaking of women teams, I was gonna talk about this later, but I'm gonna make it number 2 now because we were talking about earlier. A Force. This
Okay.
was a lot of fun when it came out.
It's like
I mean, look
Koifel, the artist.
I don't remember who to be honest, but like look how many like badass Marvel women are on this cover. And then also think
Hmm.
about how many of these women that most people don't know.
I like that I see
Um,
Nico right up front and Dazzler,
yeah.
of course.
Oh, Dazzler's an icon. She deserves better. Thank you. But yeah, this was just a shit ton of fun. Like, and I just wanted more of it. And I still to this day
Um,
don't know why it didn't continue because like it got good reviews and things like that. Maybe it just didn't sell, which is lame of us as people if it didn't sell. Like we need to get our shit together, guys. But yeah, I just enjoyed the hell out of it. And yeah, like we should see more of these women at Marvel. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
well, other than just being a badass women team, what's it about? What's going on?
You know, I could not tell you that this moment. I will have to look up the synopsis. I'm gonna be real with you because I haven't read it in forever, and so everybody is probably like, "Lauren, why are you picking a book that you can't remember everything that happened in it?"
Well, I had
Um,
to make notes. I can't remember everything that happened in mine, but I had time to take notes.
yeah, so my life did not allow for that this week. Being a director of HR breaks my brain 5 days a week.
Well,
But
by cover, it looks like it
oh, that's
deserves to
what it
be
was.
read.
Okay. It was in so it starts off with them being in Battle World.
Okay.
Uh and basically they have to, deal with the battle world. So I thought it would just had Secret Wars on there in the top left because it like was around the time it came out, but that it was actually a tie into Secret Wars for a while. So She-Hulk leads the team, which makes sense because she's on the middle of the first cover there. Like they just go through and do shit. That's it. They did do 2 A-Force books for some reason, like separately, back to back. They did the first A-Force in 2015 and it ended in October 2015, but then they brought it back in January 2016 with a new number 1, which Marvel is like, I don't know how else to say it, but Marvel is a slut for number 1s.
They love those new number 1s.
The number 1 sluts. Like they love them. Like
Because you got people who be like, ooh, new number 1.
I mean, literally, my father would do that. I love my dad, but with comics, he just collects them and then never reads them. Literally, he will not read any comic he buys because he has more the collector brain, which is fine. He has fun, but and then the Thor corps come in and do all the stuff. Ugh, it's just a good time. And it's nice to see She-Hulk lead a team.
Yeah,
I think so often, she's on the team, especially like, in her earlier years, she's, if she goes on a team, she's the token woman kind of thing. So,
but also a powerhouse. She's still strong. She's a strong woman.
Yeah, great. Woo! At least we have that, guys. Don't forget. See, women can be more than one thing. They can be 2 things. They can be a token and they can be a strong token.
That's right.
But yeah, I remember enjoying it quite a bit when I was younger. Oh damn it! I should have found that cover. There's this. Let me see if I pull it up on here. The number 1 of it has this gorgeous variant by Mark Brooks. Which is the one I had. It took me a while to hunt it down, and I definitely paid. I didn't pay like a shit ton for it, but I definitely paid more for it because it was. I think it's a ratio cover, if I'm not mistaken.
Ratio covers.
Yeah, but it's Mark Brooks, which already makes it great, and it's of them like doing like what's it called? Roller derby, is that what it is? Where they're on the skates and kind of like in the movie Whip It.
Yeah.
With Elliot Page when he was younger and things like that. Oh, dude, it's so cool. I've always wanted to watch that live since I saw that movie. I was like, this looks fucking fun. If I could do it,
there used to be speaking of early 2000s, there used to be a reality show about a roller girls team in Texas that I used to watch. It's like 2 seasons called Roller Girls.
What was that? It was called Roller Girls?
Yeah, and it's a reality show. They're in Texas somewhere.
Was it any good?
I mean, I watched 2 seasons of it. It was entertaining enough for me back then. I don't remember what it was about, though. But
that works for me. Oh, hold on. I think I found it. I have to put it up here real quick. The cover. I just really want to show it because it's just so pretty to me. Like I think I still have it on my shelf out there displayed. Like, look how cool that is.
Yeah.
Look, they did the whole gal dash XCs, like galaxies, but gal. Man, they went all out with this. But I think they should do like Marvel like sporting event things, like Marvel roller derby, Marvel wrestling. Like, come on, guys, bring this shit in. It's ridiculous, and I wanna.
Yeah, they could have done it by now.
Ballyrock says that if you'll click, Laura needs a roller girl name. You know what? Yeah. I'm all ears. Hit me.
Roller names are cool. On that show, there was one girl named Punky Bruiser, and there was one named Misconduct. I thought those were 2 pretty cool names.
Misconduct is fun.
Roller girl names are cool. We have a roller girl team around here. They're the Chemical Valley Roller Girls is their name.
Chemical Valley.
Shout out Chemical Valley Roller Girls.
I'm pretty sure Carolina Roller Derby. We have them here too. I've been wanting to go see him. It just
now's your time.
Listen. I'll try to make room for them because I would love to go see it. It looks insanely ridiculous. And
your HR make it a team building experience. Go watch roller derby. See how they whip each other, how they block for each other.
See, here's the other thing though. As HR, I don't like to hang out with people outside of work a lot because that leads to more opportunities for borderline inappropriate, like, social behavior, and
Mhm.
including on me. Like, if I get, because again, like, with you guys see how I tweet on Twitter and all that stuff. Like, imagine if I'm with work colleagues as like HR, and then I just make like horny comments left and right. Absolutely not. I cannot do that around the people I work with. I gotta no. Even if they're okay with it, I can't. Mm-mm. That'll be fun. I definitely do roller
So,
derby. I'll try to keep you guys posted because I will add it to my list.
my wife's really good at roller skating. I always told her she should do roller derby. She's really good on roller skates. It's stupid how good she
Ooh.
is.
That's amazing. She should teach me. If only I could skate again. Last time I tried to skate was kind of traumatizing because it's a few years ago, and I tried both skates, like the regular ones and the inline ones, because when I was younger and I had tried inline skates, I was like, "Hey, this is actually easier than regular skates. I like inline skates." But my ankles couldn't handle it for some reason. It was the weirdest
Yeah,
thing. Like, just standing on them hurt so bad, and I was like, "What the hell is wrong with me?" So I
I'm a
haven't
skateboarder.
done it ever
That's
since.
I didn't do much roller skating or rollerblading, but I skateboarded a lot.
'Cause you're a cool kid. You look
Yeah,
like
you know,
it
can't you tell?
Yes. Alright, hit us with your next pick.
All right, where do I want to go? I went DCS. I'll go Marvel this time. This is another one that's doesn't get talked about, and it was actually when it came out, it was pretty important. Let's see here. It is Marvel's Son of M. Have you ever heard of
Oh,
this?
yeah, absolutely. Hello, excellent
Mhm.
person. Of course, I've heard of it. I don't think I've read it, but I've
One of
definitely
my
heard of
favorite
it.
covers is Quicksilver putting on the Magneto helmet,
What up, fake
and then
Magneto?
and
Black
then
Bolt.
Black Bolt, of course.
I love Black
Uh,
Bolt.
so, Son of M. Are you aware of what happened with House of M,
The
or what
general
that was?
premise, yeah.
Like Quicksilver, pretty much tells Wanda that she can make a world better, so she creates the
Of
House of
course,
M.
yeah, no more mutants and all that. Of
Well,
course, I know
that
House of
happens at the end. He says she can make the world better. She makes the House of M, where Magneto is the ruler,
Right.
pretty much in the United States, and mutants are the majority population.
Mhm.
And then stuff happens in House of M. Magneto finds out that he says Quicksilver manipulated her, and he
Yep,
kills Quicksilver. Magneto kills
right.
Quicksilver,
Mhm.
and Scarlet Witch brings him back to life, and then says no more mutants. And then that's
Yep.
when there's only 198 mutants left in the world, and
Mhm.
everything reality goes back. Um, so that is where Son of M takes off. Um, Quicksilver was one of the mutants, even though she resurrected him, lost his powers. And not only did he lose his powers, it's his fault in his eyes that all these other mutants lost their powers, and there's only
Mhm.
198 mutants left. So it sends him into a depression. Like
Mhm.
Quicksilver's finally standing still, and he's thinking about everything, and he tries to help some people and messes it up even more, and Spider-Man has to save the day. And I don't know if you remember what happened with Spider-Man in House M, but in his world, he was married to Gwen Stacy. They had a kid,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden that got ripped away from him whenever she sent him more mutants and put it back to life. So he's pissed off at Quicksilver. And he
Mhm.
pretty much just goes off on Quicksilver, and Quicksilver says "fuck it" and jumps off a building, try to
Mhm.
kill himself. Like this whole time, he's been trying to get a hold of the Inhumans, because his daughter lives with them. Him and Crystal had Luna, right?
Mhm.
Is that her name? That name's wrong sometimes. Yeah, Luna. So essentially, there was all planned for them to get him so he could go to the Inhumans, and he tried to convince Black Bolt into letting him take on the Terrigen Mist so he can get his powers back. And Black Bolt denies him because he says it's only for Inhumans. It has different side effects to different people. And essentially, Quicksilver convinces his daughter to help him, and he steals Terrigen crystals because they said they're not going to let her get Terrigen Mist either because she's half human. Anyway, so he goes back to Earth and goes to Genosha and starts trying to give mutants their powers back using the Terrigen crystals. That's what
Mhm.
this whole story is about. And it doesn't work. Like, it makes their powers go berserk and then they lose it. Like Callisto was one of the first to take it, and she started feeling everything, like her super
Mhm.
senses, like she could feel like the wind hitting her and stuff, like the rain
Right.
filling needles. Um, and essentially, the story boils down to then humans found out what happened. They demanded the return of the Terrigen crystals, and the U.S. government won't give it to them, and that's what started the Silent War. At the very end, Black Bolt declares war on the United States of America, and then that starts the series, the Silent War, if you remember that.
I don't
But
actually. Damn.
and then this goes into the so after this goes into the Silent War and the Peter David X Factor series that was going at the time. That's great. It's so good. But he was affecting a lot of mutants in New York City, and that's what pretty much what X Factor was handling the street stuff around there. And so it all came into X Factor too. It's a very good series. It's no one ever talks about it. It's probably my favorite Quicksilver series because he's a little tragic in it. You know, he's not such a dick. Like
he's not as much of a dick, guys.
But I mean, he still does some pretty selfish stuff throughout it. But it's no one talks about it. Oh, I didn't say it was, but David Hine was the writer, and Roy Allen Martinez is the artist in it. And yeah, it's just really good. All the covers were done by somebody else too, and I can't remember their name all of a sudden. I didn't write it down, so I apologize about that. But Watson's their last name. Anyway,
nice.
That's it. Fantastic Four get involved. There's a lot of stuff. It's good.
Yeah, I might have to check it out. That sounds really actually interesting. I mean, a little.
I went really in depth on that one.
Yeah,
I don't know if I missed much. Well, I did. I was pretty in depth, but I left a lot of details out, so you can still enjoy it.
Yeah, I can enjoy anything I want, Chase.
And especially, there's a Quicksilver Scarlet Witch series out right now. It's only like issue 2, so I mean, if you just want a little more Quicksilver,
see, you did it again. Connected it to current, and you thought you were done. You thought.
I know.
I love it. Fantastic. Well, so this one is fairly recent still, but nobody talks about it. This one's called Artemis and the Assassin. This is one of the earlier stories I read that Stephanie Phillips wrote.
Is that Aftershock publishers?
Yes, that's Aftershock. Stephanie Phillips was the creator and writer. Megan Hetrick was the artist. Also, Francesca Fantini. Sorry, Francesca. Colorist Lauren Aff. Letterer Troy Pietieri. But yeah, this so hold on, where's the synopsis? Because I'm bad at summarize myself. What happens when a time traveling assassin and a spy from 1944 try to kill each other? For a price, a top secret assassination organization will travel through time and interfere with watershed moments. Trained as the agency's top assassin, Maya is sent to kill Virginia Hall, the deadliest spy of World War II. Charged with carrying important plans about the invasion of Normandy to the Allied troops, Virginia's death would have a cataclysmic effect on World War II as we know it. So we all know I'm like a huge fan of Legends of Tomorrow and all that. This is basically just Legend of Tomorrow, but with only a few characters and time traveling and assassins. What more could you want? Time traveling assassination, jumping through history. If you like time travel, if you like assassins, if you like a little cat and mouse chase, like the Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of style stuff. If you like action, there's just this has something for everybody. I think it was only 5 issues. Yeah, it was a 5-issue series in 2020. Which I think is also why I got kind of slept on, because it was like in 2020, like when things were still like shut down, like May 2020. Yeah. But it's just so freaking fun. And the history buffs, you will get so much greatness out of it. I remember being like, dude, why is this only 5 issues? Like by the 5th issue, I was like, already? Like, because I feel like they could have done another arc with this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it could have been 2 solid arcs, and that would have told the whole story. You close the book, you don't need to try to drag it out just because it's selling or whatever, But it was just so fucking fun, and it was, I think, the book that got me to start checking out more of Stephanie Phillips's writing, because I was like, dude, if she can write this, I need more of something.
Well, that sounds actually pretty good. I'll have to check that out.
Oh, it's so good. I think
Artemis. Aftershock. I like Aftershock. They had some good books.
Yeah, it's weren't they one of the ones that went bankrupt recently?
Aftershock?
Yeah.
Yep, they did.
Damn shame.
Chicken Devils. Chicken Devils never finished the last series. There's 1 issue left. Who knows what? Probably be a Kickstarter or something.
Ugh, yeah, just a damn shame there. But yeah, Aftershock was really good, and Artemis and Assassin If you guys haven't already, you should definitely look into it. Totally worth it. It's only 5 issues, so it's not like you're trying to invest in like a 50+ issue world. It's a really good time, and it is a complete story, so you're not left being like, you didn't finish anything. So,
And let's be honest, it's an Aftershock book, so you can probably find it in a dollar bin or something somewhere. Because
yeah, if you get lucky,
that's one of those
yeah,
types of books that people just throw those books into bins. So you probably get
absolutely,
it pretty cheap.
yeah, absolutely. All right, hit us with your number 4. We got
All
2
right.
more.
Well, we're talking about history, so we'll go alternate history and take you to the United States of Colombia in Aerosmith.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
Okay, it's a team of one of my top 3 favorite writers, Kurt Busiek, and top 3 favorite artist Carlos Pacheco. Like it's like it was just made for me. It's so I'll give you a little rundown here. So it's about that guy on the cover there. His name is Fletcher Aerosmith. He comes from a blacksmith family. They make arrows. Aerosmith. There you go. There it's in this world. There was this thing called the Treaty of Charlemagne, where all magical creatures agreed to come out, or not all, but most, the ones who signed the treaty, agreed to come out of like their hidden worlds and hiding and join the whole world. So the world grows up with a mixture of technology aside of magic. So there's magic and technology in this world, and there's pretty much everything you can think of. There's elves, dwarves, ogres, golems, vampires, dragons. Um, So this is a World War One story, but it's World War One if magic and technology existed in the same world with magical creatures. And Fletcher is recruited by this. They're called airmen. They fly with dragons, and they come to every town to town and kind of talk about their tales in the war, and they recruit. So he's a young kid and he gets recruited into it. And to be an airman, you got to get a connection with a baby dragon or a dragonette, and you get the connection, and you have scales from their mother, and they kind of wear them like socks, and that helps the connection. And the dragon gives the person their magic ability to fly. So there's dragons on their shoulders, and they can fly wherever they go as long as they have the dragon with them. And those dragons can also breathe fire and help fight with them. And it's essentially a war story. He's in war, like you're going to towns, he's having all these crazy fights. They're waiting till the war's over and taking the bodies of the enemies back to the line so the enemies can bury their bodies as they give them it's just a World War One story, but if magic and magical creatures were also in the world. And it's just good. It's very, very, very good.
I like that mixture, because even though I get kind of tired of war stories, but particularly like war stories around like one of the world wars, because I'm like, oh my god, we get it. It was terrible. It was horrible. Like, geez,
Yeah,
trust
like
me.
a lot of the things happen, like the bombing of Dresden and stuff, but it's a different name because they're still the Prussians. The Prussians are the enemy. Like, so the world didn't change. We're United States of Colombia, and I said a lot of things didn't change their names and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rock does like Aerosmith too. We've talked about it, and yes, rest in peace, Carlos Pacheco. Miss him.
Every time I hear Aerosmith, it makes me think of like the band, like the
band.
musical band Aerosmith, because like that's one of my mom's favorite bands. I grew up listening to them, so I'm like, God, it's not Aerosmith, it's not the band.
Yeah, it's not AERO, it's Aero.
I
ARROW.
know.
But I wish I could give you, just some of the art in this book. Hold on, let me see. This series came out in the early 2000s, like 2004, I think. And then right before Carlos Pacheco died, they put out another series. So they got another 4 or 5 issue series out, and that's pretty cool.
Nice.
I'm trying to find. Here's the airmen coming into town to recruit him.
That's a lot of airmen. Damn.
All flying with their dragons, putting on a show. This art's so good. He lives beside a golf. Look at this. Look at this, like evil king dude.
That is really well done.
He got people just flayed and hanging beside him.
Yep.
Like it's it's so good. It's a very very good story, but it's a fantasy World War One tale, and that's the best way to put it. And then the second series that came out is called Behind Enemy Lines, and it's still World War One, but he gets what it says. He's stuck behind enemy lines trying to get back. It's good.
Nice. I really do like that mixture because even though I'm not the biggest like fantasy fan, I like fantasy elements, but I don't always like vibe
Yeah,
with like full like really high fantasy. But I also again don't care for like the war and like World War stories all the time because I'm like I get it, it was terrible, but putting them together I think could balance them out in a weird way. So
you
I'll
know
definitely
the
have to play it.
combination of magic and technology. You see it so, like Tina's Tiny Playland has magic and technology, guns with magic, and then also Magic Powder, uh,
Mm-hmm.
magic and
Yep.
technology. It's a good series as well.
Yep. You're completely right. Magic Powder is fantastic. I'm excited for the newest issue.
I know I could read it, but I don't want to read it digital. I'm waiting until it comes physical.
Gotta wait.
I
That's
gotta wait.
Chase's thing. Stomped his foot. Where's the physical?
I have no problem. I'm a patient man. I have no problem waiting.
I'll say Chase is very patient, unlike me. He is very patient.
Had a big
Well,
family growing up. You gotta learn to be patient.
or you just learn to fight harder for everything.
Well, that too. It's a mixture.
One or the other. Sweet. Yeah, I'll definitely have to pick up Aerosmith. Well, another one I think I might have mentioned in the past, but again, it was in passing. Um, was a series called Spy Island. I
Okay.
think this came out in what's the year? It came out 2020 as well. So again, kind of slept on. It came out like September of 2020. So things were
Mm-hmm.
kind of opening up again. People were kind of getting back into life, but not quite there yet. But one thing I really like about this, it was only a 4-issue limited series. And so basically it's about the spy who has some assignment on a tropical island. She's supposed to basically, see what's going to happen on this island because it's at the tip of the Bermuda Triangle. So of course a bunch of crazy shit can happen. But the thing I really love the most about it, I was trying to find a good image and I couldn't, but is like in between like every couple of pages there'd be like some like ad, but it wasn't like an ad necessarily for like in real life ad. It was like an ad within the world of Spy Island, like just for
That's
really
cool.
weird stuff like magical potions or some villain or something silly. And they made the ad look very old school though. And it was just so cool because I really felt like I was getting absorbed into the world a bit more with those pages. Kind of a similar idea to like, when Hickman was really at the peak of his Krakoan era and doing the data pages that a lot of people seem to
Mm-hmm.
really relate to, even though these weren't data pages, they're just little quirky things get you more into the world. That really worked for me. And again, it kind of helped add to like the spy aspect and the kind of mystery aspect of it as well, just like little things like that. I'm not describing it super well in terms of what the ads looked like and stuff, but I just really recommend it. If you see the trade or even an issue here or two and like $1 bin, I would highly suggest you grab it because if anything, I think it's very different than other comics you'll read and in a great way.
That's cool. I saw it was a Dark Horse. Did you say who the writer was?
The writer, let's see, the creative team was Chelsea Kane on writing and Elise McCall as the artist. And yes, this was Dark Horse.
Okay. Cool. That sounds interesting. I've never heard of that either. So I got to write down Artemis and Spy Island. Got it.
Yes, dude. Yeah, I think you'll really like Spy Island. I think you'll like them both for very different reasons, but I think you'll enjoy
Mm-hmm.
Spy Island. So
Cool.
it was pretty great. And Bolly Rock earlier said, and of course, there's another book we all like with magic and technology. Exactly. By the horn.
Yeah. Yeah. By the
Exactly. You're
horns, of
so right.
course. I
You're
don't know how I
so
didn't
right.
mention that.
We're trying to think of stuff we don't talk about. That's
I
why.
know.
And we
Buddy
always
Ross,
talk about it because it's glorious.
he's keeping us honest. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Appreciate the hell out of it.
Yes. All right. Well, speaking of honest, give us that honest last pick.
Okay. So sticking in fantasy realm. Also, that last one was Wildstorm, so I guess DC now. I didn't say who wrote that. Well, that was part of Wildstorm. So, um, Well, that's one of my favorite series that never ever gets talked about, and it is Smacks.
Smacks. That's really fun to say.
It is written by Alan Moore and drawn by Xander Cannon. And it is a fantasy series that is it's a spinoff from the series Top 10. Have you ever heard or read Top 10?
Hmm.
It's Alan Moore's company, America's Best Comics. Top 10 is hold on, I have a couple of them beside me here. At least I have one beside me that I know for sure. Oh, there we go. Go here. Top 10 is about a police station, the top 10 precinct, in this world where superheroes and everything in between is just normal basis. Time travelers, aliens, like it's just a normal thing. And they are police officers in the precinct top 10, which is like one of the main hubs of precincts. It's a great series. It's in my top 10 favorite series.
Knee slap.
But it's a really, really good series, and it's Alan Moore, and it is serious. Like the first series of Top 10 introduces you to Toy Box, who is this girl right here, Officer Slinger, and right here with the crutches, and that is Smacks's partner. And you start off, she's kind of like your introduction to Top 10. Like she's kind of starts as the main character until you run all the characters of the cast, and then it goes off into the. But so Smacks is her partner, and he's rough around the edges. And then he opens up as the series goes on, and then this is Smacks has to go back to his home universe for his grandfather's funeral, and he asks Toy Box if she'll go with him. And all he talks about is how he hates where he came from. He's so embarrassed. He calls it backwater, calls them all hillbillies and stuff like that. And when he gets there, he starts introducing Toy Box as his wife, which is his partner, at police station. But he starts introducing her as his wife, and you find out it's because his hometown is like a fantasy world, like Narnia almost. Like it's a fantasy world where everything is just incest is prevalent, like, and it's an acceptable thing. And like but everything follows like fantasy rules. But the bureaucracy of the fantasy world is crazy. The reason he calls Toy Box his wife is so he doesn't have sex with his sister, which is hard for me to explain. But it's Alan Moore, and it's just a thing. It's his twin sister, and it's a thing.
You lost me the second you said incest is prevalent. Listen.
It's because the whole book is an Alan Moore parody on fantasy books, and in fantasy books, for some reason, incest is always an acceptable thing. Like Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones, and Cersei.
It's fucking ridiculous. Like, so that was his. Is that? Ugh.
I don't know, but that's why he threw it in there to be like, it's a thing they're allowed to do. Like. But so he's back there for his grandfather's funeral, and he keeps getting all these signs, like literal signs. A sign will pop up and be like, "You're here to get." Well, I don't want to say it wrong. Morning Bright. Morning Bright's this cat dragon, a feline dragon. The best way to describe it. It's right there. So he keeps ignoring all these signs because it's his biggest shame is before he left his world to go to the precinct, he was a dragon slayer, and Morning Bright was his last mission to save this girl, and he couldn't save her. This little girl, she got burned to ashes in front of him, and her handprint got burned into his chest. That's why he has his hand on his chest. So he ignores all the signs, so eventually he has to go with a quest. So he has to go, and like I said, adventuring has become a bureaucracy. So he has to go to like the government to file to go on an adventure. In order to file and go to adventure, he has to have a quota of 4 dwarves, 1 wizard, an elf, and like an adventurer. Like, so he has to collect all these people to fill out the form so he can go on his adventure. And it's just a comedy, a fantasy comedy with a lot of Alan Moore things in there. You know, like there's always something in the background happening, or like when they're on their adventure during downtime, all the dwarves are playing malls and muggers. Like I said, at Dungeons and Dragons, and they're like rolling to see if they have to pay overpriced at the mall for this scam at a boutique. Like, so they're playing their fantasy world is like a mundane world. Like there's just little humorous things like that throughout the whole series. And his sword is a singing sword, but it loves ABBA. So throughout the entire book, like as he's fighting, there's this ABBA going. Like right here, this is Smacks. I met Xander Cannon at a convention and got this commission.
Nice.
And the sword is singing Dancing Queen. It says Friday night when the lights are low.
That's amazing. That's the best thing you've said about Smacks so far, is that the sword is ABBA singing, basically.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But it's just full of, I love fantasy stories. So it's just full of fantasy tropes, you know, and just kind of to the extreme and making fun of it a lot. And it's really good. I lost you at the incest part, and I get that.
Yeah, but you brought me back with ABBA, the singing ABBA sword. So you
but
got
it is a great series. I love the series. It's so good. But it's just fun, especially if you like top 10 and fantasy, because it's kind of like, well, the characters top 10 getting thrusted into a fantasy universe, and that's pretty funny.
Hell yeah. Well, cool. I will absolutely consider it with the ABBA singing sword at least.
Maybe you should consider top 10, and then, you know, maybe if you like top 10,
maybe
go into Smacks.
Maybe. Ballyrock earlier said Lauren's fourth pick, which was Spy Island, reminded me of a book called Bermuda by IDW in 2021.
I remember seeing covers for
Island fantasy book. Yep, only 4 issues. Charming art. Yeah, I'll have to look into it then. Again, I'm not the biggest fantasy person, but I will definitely look at it. Because it could be fun, you know. Just because I'm not a big genre person doesn't mean I won't enjoy it. So hell yeah. Love it. Absolutely. Well, that was a very entertaining pick, Chase. I enjoyed that. Except the incest. I did not enjoy that. Thank you.
Well, I don't think anybody does. But like I said,
listen, there are people that do, unfortunately, in this world.
We you know, it's Alan Moore, and he's got to throw stuff like that in there, and it is a big parody of fantasy stuff, but he could be less willing about it. Smacks,
I was gonna say,
that's the problem.
well, and here's the thing. Yeah, you can parody something, but like, if you really don't like, if you think something is that like not okay, then would you even parody it? No. Like, if you are on some level okay with it, I feel like you're more tempted, but whatever. It's all good. Good for you, Alan Moore. He had his fun. So, and it's good apparently. It's still good. So that's what matters. It's still enjoyable. It did its job. So my last pick is All New Wolverine.
Cool.
Tom Taylor wrote it 2015 to 2018, so it did go on for a few years, which is cool. I feel like now, especially with the Krakoan era, you know, with how big it became, you know, people just kind of stopped talking about like how Laura got to the point she's at. And this run really did it for her. I think this is one of the first things from Tom Taylor I read. It might have been the first series of his I read, actually. And I absolutely fell in love with it, but it definitely balances everything out. There are times where like it's more tragic than others, because here's the thing: Laura cannot escape that she is her father's daughter. And the shit she went through. Like, I'm really trying not to spoil like like the most tragic thing that has ever happened to her character, in my opinion. And that's saying something, because she's got some tragic shit with Krakoa stuff, but the most tragic thing that she's ever done happens in this series. And it's like, even just thinking about it, I like kind of want to die a bit, because it's so fucking tragic and it's horrible, and it's completely out of her control, and it's not fair that she did it, even though she, you know, she never would have. But it's so well written, and in between the trauma moments like that, there's still a lot of heart, and it's still fun, because this is where you get to see her and Scout / Honey Badger Gabby, her sister, get to hang out and have fun and things like that. So Again, this went on for like 30 something issues, so there's no just like one plot to really share, I guess, because it was a
Mhm.
long series. Um, but it's just really fucking good. Like if I would say this is one of Tom Taylor's best. So if you're like a little underwhelmed by him as a writer, or you're kind of like dry on him lately or something, or if you love his stuff and you never read this, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It really helps cement who she is, because I don't think the Krakoan era really does that. So, if you've only read her with the Krakoan era, which no judgment at all, but if you've only read that, then I think you're just missing a really key part to who she is as a character. And this series can give that to you. The first two arcs especially are phenomenal, which is what I usually find, to be honest, with longer series. Like, not always, but often it's like the first 2 to 3 arcs are really good and then kinda just dies from there a bit with writers sometimes, but
Mhm.
it's still really good. I highly, highly recommend it. I need to reread it actually. It's just that good.
That's cool to say that things that happen to her are tragic. Is you could say that about any Wolverine character. Something
Mhm.
tragic has happened to them.
Always. Listen, even Shakespeare could not keep up with how many tragedies the Wolverine family has. Shakespeare couldn't even. Absolutely not.
Well, that was another great pick. I'm not very familiar with Tom Taylor work in general. Um, I know last time we talked, I was talking about Tom King instead of Tom Taylor, like everybody on Twitter.
Yeah, that was
Um,
hilarious. That was amazing. Another
yes,
Chase moment.
I can't I can't think of one of his books I've ever read.
Let's see. Well, some of my
I know
favorites.
Batman is that one everyone talks about.
No, he hasn't written Batman. He writes Nightwing.
Nightwing, that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nightwing.
Yeah. Tom King wrote Batman a long
Yeah,
time ago.
Tom King
Did it
wrote Batman.
again. Did it
Oh.
again. um, no, All New Wolverine is really good. X-Men Red, which was like I think a 12 issue series. Um, Cassandra Nova was a big villain in that. Jean Grey led the team. That's where Kurt got his beard.
Mm,
Uh, I love X-Men Red. That was really good. Deceased, he did all of Deceased. Um,
okay.
the original like 2 arcs of that are the best in my opinion as well. Um, there's a bunch more he's written. Again, he's like one of the biggest writers. He's been one of the biggest writers of the last few years.
Hmm.
But yeah, I really liked I really liked those. I think they were also better because he wasn't writing as much at the same time. And lately, what I kind of see with writers that, which is very good for them money wise and I'm sure busy wise, they get a lot of work and they're writing a bunch of stuff at once. I think if you try to juggle too much, then you start dropping things, right? By
Hmm.
accident. You drop a ball here, like, oh, no big deal. I'll just pick that up. Oh, I dropped another one. And you're dropping all these different stories and you're missing little things, or you think that was a great way to write the character, but it was actually out of character. And I think it was just one of those things where he kind of started to do that with like other stories and it just wasn't my favorite. And it
Hmm.
wasn't him being a bad writer necessarily. It's just he's writing so much and he can't devote his whole attention. It's like one of my favorite moments from the show Parks and Rec is where Ron Swanson tells Leslie Knope, don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. And sometimes I wish it was possible that more creatives could do that and still be financially stable and have lives and things like that, but I know that's
Not
not the
possible.
case. Right.
You don't make
Not
that
at all.
great money doing comics.
Not at
Uh,
all. I can dream, but
we have good choice. So, do you have any honorable mentions?
no, I mean, those are the main ones. I mean, there's plenty of stories that are older that I like to talk about, but I think I've talked about them before. I don't talk about them all the time, but like one of my favorite comics is still Civil War: The Confession, which I've talked about.
Hmm.
But it just because for me that comic is such a strong moral compass moment, and that's why it really sits in the back of my head all the time. Because at the end of the day, if I'm ever at the end of the day, if I make a decision, or if I know something is wrong and somebody's trying to, manipulate me or convince me or show me otherwise or tell me otherwise, um, at the end of the day, if I know something is fucking wrong, I'm going to stand by it. And
Hmm.
seeing a character like Captain America, who again, he's usually the nice guy and all this stuff, stand his fucking ground. Um, and even if it did get him to a point where he was kind of in a darker place too. The fact that he still stood his ground and he did do the right thing. I'm just like, wow, like that's why I like characters like Steve and like Kara and like Clark
Hmm.
and things like that, because like when I was younger, I used to think, oh, they're just too good. There's and the reason when I was younger I didn't identify them as much, I think, is because I was like, well, I can't be that good. There's no way. That's not fair. And now I'm like, well, I don't have to be that good because I can understand better who these characters are and what they really stand for, which is,
Hmm.
look, you just do the best you can, and here's how you have a strong moral compass. And I love the idea of being able to do that, being able to say, hey, even if I don't ever completely get there, I want to be as close as I possibly can, and I want to stand by my values. So that's why I really like the confession. And also Tony Stark sucks. That's it.
Tony Stark does suck. I agree with you there. I
Sorry,
never,
Tony fans.
not until I never cared for Iron Man until Robert Downey Jr. was playing him. Like it
Yep.
wasn't until the movies came out that I even cared about Iron Man. He was always my least favorite Avenger. Like I just was never huge, cared much for Tony Stark. But Robert Downey Jr. really, really changed that character. I think made him more likable.
No, for sure, absolutely. Did you have a specific honorable mention you want to mention?
Well, there's some that if it wasn't so obvious for me, if I didn't always talk about them myself, I would have brought up like Exiles or New X-Men Academy or the New X-Men with Elixir and Surge and all them, or Astro City. Like those are books that no one talks about
I'm sur-
much, and
I'm
I
surprised you didn't
love.
bring up Starman. Nobody talks about Starman.
I feel like when people no, people shouldn't. People don't. They should talk about Starman because it's one of the best comics ever written.
Well,
but
then why
but there
wasn't
are
it
people out
even
there.
near your list?
I know, but I feel like if I Google Starman comic, I'll find somebody in the last year or so that has at least talked
Mhm.
about it. Online.
Gotcha.
Um, the ones I
That's
mentioned
probably because of
there.
the Stargirl TV show, though. That's the only reason, because he was on the
Yeah.
Stargirl show.
Uh, if I was going to mention any of those, I wouldn't mention Starman. I would mention the Shade series that came out after
Shade.
Starman.
I gotta read him. Yes, the
Yeah,
Shade.
you do. This has got. I mean, I want you to read it, so I'm not going to ruin all. But it's very good. It's wordy like the Shade is, but it's
Yeah.
good.
Hell yeah. Well, perfect. Well, you guys heard it here tonight. You heard our top 5 plus an extra pick, so I guess top 6 kind of picks of the older comics that we wanted to talk about tonight, that we don't always get to. And clearly we had a lot to say because we went over an hour talking about 10 comics. So there we go. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, or listening. If you guys just put us in your ears and do your own thing. Thanks to Emma and Bolly Rock in the chat. Great to see you guys as
Thanks,
always.
guys.
Chase, what you want to say before we wrap up? Anything you got?
Uh, no, nothing really. Have fun, everybody. Have a good weekend. Read comics, if not
Yeah.
the ones that we just mentioned, just comics in general. Enjoy them. Uh, yeah, just everyone have a good time.
Hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Check out, if you guys liked any of our the comics we mentioned, you like how they sounded, check them out. If you need some help finding them, let us know. We're happy to help always. And send us your recommendations. Tweet
Yes,
at us,
please.
comments, whatever you need to do. Please send them your way, because we're always looking for more things. And yeah, we'll be back in the future with Nerd Live. If there's anything in particular you want us to do going live, let us know that too. We love to hear.
Yeah,
Uh,
pop in the Discord or find us on Twitter, X, whatever.
yeah, ugh, we call it Twitter. I refuse to call it X. I slipped up once on the Simply Amazing pod, and Lisa like got on me about it, and I was like, "That's valid." I can't believe I just did that shit. We're on Twitter. Twitter is what it's fucking called. I don't care about Musk. But yeah, check us out. Check out the Discord. I think I put those links in the description below. But if I didn't, scream at me on Twitter. We'll get you an invite. That's not a problem at all. Like, share, subscribe, all that cheesy but super important stuff that helps get other nerds like us and you guys and great neighbors out there to join the circle, so we can all hang out and share and geek out. But otherwise, we'll see you guys next time in the nerdy neighborhood. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Later, buddy. Bye.